Welcome, Sexy Wookiees, to another edition of Sexy Wookiee Squadcast. We have concluded reading Star Wars Han Solo Trilogy Book 1, The Paradise Snare by A.C. Crispin. Man, I got a bad feeling about this. It is your boy, Sexy Leader.
Hey, it's your girl, Sexy One.
Hey, it's your simp, Sexy too.
Let's go.
They did use the line. We got a few bad feelings about this.
There's
so
a lot of them.
I was glad to see that little nod to canon.
Got a bad feeling.
Yeah.
Tradition. That was
All
good.
right, let's go. Let's jump in. What do we got?
So let's talk about that relationship for a second. They went through everything on that damn planet. They escaped together just for her to basically Dear John him.
Oh, that's
Talk about that.
rough.
Mm.
It's so I don't know if you want to root for them or if you don't, because you're like, but Han and Leia, OTP.
Yeah.
But after everything they go through and what they do for each other and what they mean to each other and how they've caused each other to have to grow and change and the things they've taught each other, it's just so important to both of their stories that this relationship happened, that you hate to lose it, but you're like, this is essential to his character, that he gets burned like this.
Mhm.
And it's believable, her reasons too.
Yeah.
It's not like the author's like, well, we know he ends up with Leia, so I've gotta break him up at some point in this book, so she's just gonna be like, no, you're poor, I don't like you, and leave. Like, no, like, your heart breaks for her too.
Yeah.
And you believe that it's consistent with her character, that she is like, no, I need to do this. I need to go off on my own and work on myself and not hold you back. Like, I believe that about her. Everything that she's done up until this point, the fact that she left the last boyfriend to go join the cult, it's consistent with her character. So to work that in so well, and to have her have such a real issue to deal with, this struggle of this addiction and needing to be stronger and needing to find something new to believe in. It's so compelling and I love it. And so I'm rooting for you, Bria, and Han, I'm sorry this happened to you. You didn't deserve this. You're so good. But now you're going to be jaded and cold, and you're not going to trust people as easily. And you still got a happy ending, though. You got to join, if joining the Empire's a happy ending. I don't know, like, that was the other thing. You're like, am I happy that he got into the Academy and he's part of the Empire now? Yes, but then again, I shouldn't be. I don't know. It was great. Like, it's just a different perspective on all of this, and a really great origin for Han's character.
We'll definitely cover a little bit more of that later.
I think we will. Yeah. So sad to see the relationship not work out, but had to happen, and I believed all the reasons why it didn't.
Yeah. All right. So where are we at with this? I'll say this first. Corellians break up with class. Writing a letter, I think that's very classy. It's something where,
and leaving money, that helps.
And not leaving him. She had. I mean, I wish we had read the whole letter right before the question started, just so we could kind of reminisce on what she said.
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a long one, right? You read the full one,
not
long
the short version.
One. The long version.
I get your point, though. You're right. She didn't ghost him. She didn't just disappear with no warning.
See, had there been
explained it, and it was good explanation.
No, I'm gonna wait till we read the letter first. Let's read the letter first.
All right. Sorry, I have to do it one-handed because
you got this.
Those who can't see, my right arm is in a sling.
Battle injury.
Battle injuries, battle wounds.
I do love that you already had it tabbed and found it so quickly.
Yeah, no, I reread it, I think 3 times, and I cried every time because I'm just like, I was like, oh my God, all 2 of my feelings hurt. It
I got him.
hurts.
Yeah.
All right, guys, ready?
Ready.
Yeah.
Dearest Han, you don't deserve for this to happen, and all I can say is, I'm sorry. I love you, but I can't stay. Every day I wonder if I'm going to snap and take the next ship back to Elysia. I'm afraid I'm not strong enough to resist, but I must resist. I must face the fact that I'm addicted to the exaltation and that I must fight this addiction. I will need all my energy to do this and win, I'm afraid. I've been leaning on you for strength, but that's not good for either of us. You need all your strength and determination to pass those tests and make it through the academy. Please don't abandon your dream of becoming an officer, Han. Don't be afraid to use the money I left. My father gave it to us freely because he likes you and is grateful to you. Like me, he recognizes that you saved my life. Accept his gift, please. We both want you to succeed. I've learned so much from you. How to love, how to be loyal and brave. I've also learned how to find people who will help me change my identity, so don't bother looking for me. I'm going away and I'm going to beat this addiction. I'm going to do it if it takes my last measure of strength and courage. You've been free all your life, Han, and strong. I envy you for that. I'm going to be free someday too, and strong. Maybe then we can meet again. Try not to hate me too much for what I'm doing. I don't blame you if you do, though. Please know that now and forever, I love you. Yours, Maria.
Good stuff. It's good stuff.
So, man, like I was saying, when I first read it and then read Han's reaction, I was like, man, every guy react. This is not just Corellian boy, reaction. It's every guy reaction when you read something like this.
Mhm.
And because, why am I going to go this way? Because in Han's mind, his emotion was first. That's why he was angry. I mean, you have to when he first read it and he read the short version,
Right.
in the chapter before, it was very like, oh, I'm not even going to deal with this kind of thing. And then, he had to sit himself,
Mhm.
read the full version, and then that's where he got all
He
the
had to build
facts.
up to
And
that, though. He couldn't do
Yeah.
it right away.
Yeah.
yeah, and so Jasmine, she just read all that. And that's what, he had to understand each of the things she needed to get through, right?
Mhm.
And then that's how, the process begins, the process for him to move on, and for process for her to move on. And then whatever takes it, in coming back with because I'm going too fast. Let me slow down, because I got so much in my mind that I want to say. But let me just say this, and I've said this in a lot of books, but in a lot of the different books where kind of this will happen, and probably this will be the final unless books keep doing this again and again. This is a point in a time where somebody comes into your life, and that's it. That's how far they can push you. They cannot push you anymore, no matter how much the other person wants to be pulled, pushed, whatever. There's no more. And I'm saying this from both perspectives. You cannot take the world, the if you're an earth, the earth, wherever you are, your environment, you cannot force it to keep pulling and pushing, to keep trying to move this relationship forward.
Yeah,
did
they're
its
in your
purpose.
life at the time
It
that
did
they
its
need
purpose.
to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Jasmine,
said.
what did you think?
Besides
So,
crying.
like I said, I cried. Oh, my feelings. All two of them hurt. Gosh.
Which side
But-
more? Just kidding.
You're funny. But I, as much as I hate Dear John letters like that, because it was basically a Dear John, as much as I hate when things like that happen and you don't do it face to face, I understand why she had to do it through a note. And I do appreciate that she explained it instead of just being like, peace.
Right.
Because that's how it'd be before, where the person was just, I never got an explanation until I was like, you know what, I deserve one. I want an explanation. But the fact that she was like, here's an explanation. And I like that she admits, she's like, you know what, I'm not strong enough right now, but I will be. If we meet again, great. If we don't, it was still a good time together. And, like you guys said, sometimes it just doesn't work, and that's okay. And, you know, as much as I love Han and Leia, I really do love Bria. And so part of me is really rooting for them, but then another part understands, like, yeah, if you have to work on yourself, go do that. Because I've had to do that where I had to be like, I need to be by myself. You need to focus on you. I will drag you down with my issues, and I don't want that, you know, because I don't think it's fair to drag someone down with you, if that makes sense.
Right.
Because there's some people out there that are like, oh, if I'm dating you, I'm gonna fix you or your problems, and it's like, no, it's on the person
Always that,
to
isn't
work
it?
on themselves. You can't change or fix someone.
Right.
That's on them. No matter how much you want to, or if they want to,
That's
you
gonna be
can't.
draining.
Yeah, it's
And
not
honestly,
yours
hold
to
on.
fix.
Sorry, sorry to cut you off.
No, go for it.
Basing a relationship on trying to fix somebody,
Oh, that's so sad.
that's the biggest no-no.
Bad
Like,
news.
That's
yeah.
bad,
So
bad,
if you're you know, if you're a young gun, sorry, listening to this right now, like,
All right, younglings,
we're-
gather up.
yes, for the younglings,
Yeah.
here's some Jedi attachments are not forbidden, but don't do attachments to fix another person.
There's healthy
Unless you're a
attachments and
mentor
there's
to them.
unhealthy.
Or to fix
Unless you're a
yourself.
mentor to them, like a
Yeah.
big brother, big sis. But when you're trying to fix somebody, it won't work half of the time. I mean, if
Yeah.
there is, we want to hear it on the comments. Put it down in the comments. Sorry to cut you off, Desmond.
No, it's okay. Because like when you're in a
Of course.
relationship, you're not there to fix someone. You're there to grow with someone, to be with them.
Preach.
Yep, exactly. And so, you know, just for her to be strong enough to admit, like, hey, I need to work on myself. I'm like, props to you, girl. I love it. I dig it. I'm here for it.
Well, and all the props for her recognizing that she needed to work on herself, but
Yeah.
knowing that it would be so much easier to do that if she had Han to lean on and
Let's go.
boost her up and take
Yeah.
care of her and everything, but she didn't want to do that to him.
Yeah.
That she could use him as a crutch and take her time to heal and get better and fall back on him every time she relapsed and whatever. And for his sake, decided, no, I'm going to go do this on my own. Like, this isn't,
That's strength.
it's so strong for somebody that's can acknowledge their weakness like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, all around, I'm just like, oh, go Bria and Han. Like, how many times have you had a bad breakup? You're going through this like heartache situation,
Yeah.
and then something big happens in your life, and you have to work extra hard or adapt to something. And in the meantime, you're dead inside and you're just lethargic and so depressed and heartbroken, but you have to put it on every day to get this task done.
Corellian boys be strong like that. That's why.
This guy is going to go take
Yeah.
these exams and he has to study and all this after losing the love of his life.
Always
Yeah, both
happens
of
when you're
them.
taking a test.
Always.
my
Always
God.
happens when you're taking a test.
Or like right when there's a big change at work and they just gave you
Yeah.
a promotion or new responsibilities, or you just switch teams or something. And so you have to be on your game and paying attention. And then some bad relationship thing happens and you're like, oh.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's all sorts of relatable on both sides of this.
But
And
see,
it's
see,
like,
the
oh, you
the
I
guys.
like
Empire probably
that.
slaps you. You know, it slaps that emotion out of you when you're taking those exams. So you won't have.
Well, it gives you something else to focus on, which is
Yeah.
helpful.
I know we talk about like, you know, books being relatable,
Yeah.
even a Star Wars book. And I do appreciate that it's relatable on both sides.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, we're not in the academy. Yeah, we didn't come out of a cult, but like the feelings and the way that it's done, the reactions, like I
Totally
really
buy it.
appreciate how relatable it is.
Yep.
Well, I also
done.
think because when we like, I'm not gonna speak for you guys, but I'll speak for myself. Like when I was growing up, that letters were so traditional, and I'm not saying it could have been face to face, it could have been letter, it could have been a landline. I don't know what the telephones are in the Star Wars world, but comms. But it's not like it was like a cell phone message.
You
I
should
mean,
text him.
if you've ever text is the worst. Like I think text is probably the worst letter in ever. And I'm very traditional like that. So when you say, if this was said in like a cell phone message or like a phone message answering machine, dude, those are like the worst things. But she wrote it in a letter, and I think that's why I related so much to it, is because I used to write letters to my sweethearts, and
Ooh,
Aw.
old-fashioned
it's like-
boy.
it's a Corellium boy. But
Yeah.
you know, it's letters mean so much things.
Yeah, just letters,
it can mean a
surprises
lot.
like that. Like the other day, I was surprised with roses and an Iron Man stuffed animal, and it made my day just completely out of nowhere. Total surprise. So things like that, it just means a lot. Like even in a galaxy far, far away, little surprises like that will
Yeah.
definitely go a long way. I
Yep.
feel like if I were Han and I got a text message versus a letter,
Right.
I'd be so pissed if it was a text. But if it was a
Yeah.
letter, I get it, especially because
Something very personal about handwritten.
yeah. And then thinking about it, if she were to do it in person, would she have the strength
I
to
don't
walk
think so.
away?
I don't think she would have been able to get it all out
Yeah.
as eloquently. The fact that it took her so many tries just to write it
Mhm.
and
That's the
express
hard part right
herself perfectly. There's no way she could have done it face to face. I don't think she would have. She would have.
Yeah.
She would have choked and not gone through with it.
Yeah, and he wouldn't have let her go too. So I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
he would have said everything that just, and then
Yep.
we would have had that vicious cycle again. And here's my thing:
You
I'm
know
gonna
how that
lighten up the
goes.
mood a little bit. Like, would he have taken a lightsaber or something and just start like bashing
Bruh.
everything at that
Gone
hotel?
all Kylo Ren on it?
I
Well, now
think
we
that
know
would've
where
been-
he
that's
gets
what-
it, huh?
That's how it
Too
would have felt like.
soon. Too
That's how it would
soon.
have felt like.
Too soon.
He did. He threw the
Where's the
chair.
girl?
Okay,
He
fair.
like trashed the room and stuff. Oh
yeah,
my
but
God.
he
gosh.
didn't take a
God.
He is
lightsaber to the
Kylo's
gut.
father. Oh dear.
Solo.
Jesus.
Mm,
Okay, so that's where he gets it from.
it's all making sense now.
Oh man, good question. Let's go. Let's go.
All right,
Anyway.
the next one. So he finally made it to the academy. He graduated. Yay! He did all that good
Good
stuff
job,
that
Han.
he's been wanting to do. Let's talk about that next.
Yeah, that's like, oh, it's so satisfying that he had this goal all the way through, and you're like, oh, this poor guy, he's been through so much, he's getting beaten down, and you're like, there's part of you that's just worried that something's gonna happen. He's gonna get caught. Like so many of his other plans fell through in
Mhm.
spectacular fashion. Okay, and how fun was it that he's holding up this stinking bank because Hal Horn from Corsac ran his name, and I'm like, yeah, shout out to Hal Horn.
I know.
Yes.
It was like the same timing.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's all making sense now. But anyway, so yeah, everything's going wrong for this poor guy. So the fact that he gets his chance, and it's because he had this money from Bria's father, and it's because he's studied hard and he worked hard and he worked his butt off and he studied all the time and focused on this. Like, this wasn't just like, oh, he's a natural talent, which he is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he earned it too. He earned it hard.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's even this late in the book, he's thinking back to Dulana and saying, like, I made it, like, I did it for you, like, your sacrifice paid off and here I am.
Mm-hmm.
So to have that satisfying conclusion to this goal that he's had forever, that his mother figure sacrificed herself to help him achieve, and he gets there and he does it and almost gets killed right before the thing, like everything was going wrong. I'm like, please get out of this situation, just make it. And he did. Oh yeah, I was so happy. And then I checked myself and I was like, no, he's joining the Empire. That's bad. Like,
Mm-hmm.
quit rooting for this. So it was a little conflicting at the end there, but
Mhm.
otherwise I was fully on board and so proud of him.
Man, took the best answer of the episode, but let's just piggyback off of it then.
Go right ahead.
Earning is such a good word, because just like we saw him grow up in one book,
Mm-hmm.
so, but it was the promise or it's only part of the promise to Dulana that he made, that I'm gonna get into here, and his promise was that once I make it, I'm gonna break you away from this. You know, he wanted to give Dulana the freedom once he got the freedom.
Yeah.
You know, that was his goal. So being part of the Empire was for him to get his freedom, but also to free Dulana from what now, like we know quickly, that doesn't go as planned. So I'm gonna just go with realism here with my answer. You got to stay focused with whatever you're going to do. If I leave you with anything from today until, you know, the rest of these, you know, I don't know how many episodes we'll have. We'll have more and more, but you stay focused, like laser focus
You mean stay
on
on
where you have
target?
to be. Stay on target.
Stay on target,
That
guys.
affects you one. Like stay on target. What you need to do, stay focused on that target, and things are gonna come for you. Like, and look, of all the hardships, you can look back at 48 episodes. This is 48 right now, but you can look back at all 47 episodes, and we didn't lose focus for 1 minute. You know, we were on here. You know, our 1 year was just a little bit,
Yeah, it was.
you know, a little bit a month back, or the end of last month, but like stay laser focused and things are going to come for you, whatever they may be. They're always going to come. And
Yeah.
that's what Han did. No matter what, like he went through a breakup, he went through like the worst like places you can be. He
Yeah.
saw some stuff, but he had to do things that, you know, that you don't want to do. And so you can't be distracted by noise. Focus, stay on your target, stay focused, and wherever it is that you need to be, just keep heading towards that goal, that target. You're gonna be
Yeah.
fine.
It's a far more valuable and inspirational and relatable type of message and hero than I think we see in a lot of modern media and a lot of the Disney canon Star Wars things, where that everybody's just exceptionally gifted and talented and they immediately know how to do things and they're the bestest ever and they're the chosen ones of their craft, and we don't know why, they just are. And to see Han, who we've always thought was the bestest pilot, that he spent hours, he specifically negotiated so that he could have a simulator in his room so that he could spend hours and days going over every type of ship and practicing all the landings and getting better,
The
getting better.
calculations, man.
He wanted
all
to
of that.
join the academy, and so he studied and practiced and went in the sims and listened to the textbooks overnight and practiced his math and his science. Like the fact that it goes to the trouble to tell you all this, that like he had to work for it, that he was exceptionally, you know, gifted and daring and had a knack for it, but he worked his butt off to get there too. And you just don't see that in a lot of the heroes now. And you're like, oh, well, you know, I don't know if I could ever achieve my dream because I'm not a natural genius at this stuff. And I didn't just force download all of the skills that I would need to be a hero. Like, no, give me Han Solo going through hell and picking himself up and working his butt off to reach his goals any day. That to me is so much more inspirational and a better message. So and I'm sure we'll get to the sum it up question. This book's a little too real for me in some ways, but in this way, I'm like, yeah, that's I can take away kind of that inspiration of Han, what he went through to achieve his goal, and be like, I could do that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ronald. Just
oh, it's good. You're good. Preach. Jasmine, what's up?
No, I agree with you guys. It's, I know I feel like I say this, I've been saying this a lot more lately, but it's refreshing that, you know, like Megan said, it's not someone who like, oh, they've never done it before, but suddenly they can do it. Like just to read how much it took to really get to that point, because you know, once we see A New Hope, we see how amazing he is.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't wake up one day and that happened. It took so much time, effort, practice, like everything. And so it's refreshing to read the realistic side of that. And it's in a way, it's comforting and it's encouraging
Yeah.
to read this and to be like, you know what? If he can do it, why can't I? You know, why
Mhm.
can't anyone else? So I really, really enjoyed reading that. And, you know, I agree. It sucks. It's the Empire. It's like, not happy because it's the Empire, but at the same time, like, this kid who came from literally nothing
Mm-hmm.
made his way there, was able to do it, worked his butt off, lost some of the most important people to him, still managed to trudge through. And I'm like, that is strength. That is beautiful strength.
Yeah, and you know it can't be easy if you want to compare it to kind of a similar setting that we recently went through in the Thrawn book with Eli and Thrawn kind of getting into the academy on Coruscant and being cadets and everything, and how there's kind of a social hierarchy in the academy, and if you're from the Outer Rim or Wild Space, it's like, oh, this yokel. Like, how is Han gonna deal with that kind of hierarchy? He's from Corellia, which is probably fine, but like basically an orphan, pickpocket, low life, you know, just pilot spice runner. Like, I don't know, he's not gonna put up with that if anybody tries to treat him badly or, you know, tear him down. Like, he'll fight him probably.
Yeah.
He's not gonna be like Eli.
Yeah.
He's not gonna take that.
He's gonna throw down.
I think so. Stands up for what he believes.
Yeah, just like, what are your thoughts? Like, hey, he finally came back. He was at the very end, but he finally came back to try to get his revenge, and it's like, haha, sucker.
It was a bit unexpected. You forgot about him almost.
Same. I was like,
I was like, oh shoot, this guy. Come on, hasn't Han been through enough?
Legit, for a second, I was like, who is this Karen? And I was like, oh, wait.
Oh no, it's him. But yeah, I totally believe he would spend the energy and the time and the resources to hunt Han down after what had happened. Like, just because he seems like the vindictive type. Yeah. That like, oh yeah, I'm gonna break out my old bounty hunting stuff and like freaking find this kid and make him pay. And of all the times right after Han was having such a good night, and here he shows up, and I kept waiting for like security to step in. I had thought it would be an interesting situation that this, you know, this cadet basically is in a fight and that some stormtroopers would show up and save him. And so he would have this kind of like camaraderie with the Empire of like, no, he's one of us, like, leave him alone. And so he would finally feel protected and that he belonged with this group and that he was accepted by them. I thought that would have been an interesting dynamic, but it never happened. He just kept running and fighting and nobody cared in this like nice district of Coruscant. I'm like, does nobody notice that this is happening? Whatever, take care of it, Han, you got this. And he almost didn't. Like, that was hard fought, and he's in the midst of it all. Like, the moves that he used were so clever. It wasn't just brawling. Like, he was faking and thinking about maneuvering into certain positions and stuff. So it was very well written for a fight scene in a book. But also just gross. Like, this book gets too real sometimes, I swear. Like, it was so graphic. Just like blood and broken bones, and I was like, oh my gosh, poor Han. So it was nice to see closure on Shrike. They could have saved him to be like a returning baddie for later in Han's journey, but he didn't need that. Like, he's on a different journey now. This closes out that chapter, and to kill him without him ever telling you anything about his parents, like, wow, what a choice. Like, that Han decided, you know what, I don't care. Like, I'd rather be rid of this problem
Mhm.
than find out about my past if I would even trust what he said.
Yeah.
Like he finally let go of that anchor that had been pushing him or holding him back. I don't even know. All along was that he wanted to know so bad where he came from, and so he was always trying to please this guy in hopes that he would find out some information. And he finally got to the point where he said, it doesn't matter, I know who I am now, and I'm becoming who I want to be. It doesn't matter where I came from.
Mhm.
Yeah, there you go. That's it right
That
there.
was so needed, I think, to close out this part of his journey, and a really good way of demonstrating that by having him finally take out this figure that had been representing
Preach.
his
Yeah,
old
yeah.
like
God.
representing
I'm waiting
like
for her to say
what
the
he
words.
was and where he came from, and what he had moved beyond, what he had accomplished, what Dulana had given him, that he could finally get revenge on her killer, for her and for him. So it was I think I didn't expect it, but when it happened, I was like, that was necessary. It was a good thing that happened. I don't know if I would have missed it if it hadn't. Like, I wouldn't have been like, this was missing something. And if only it had closed out that chapter of his life. I don't know. But when it was there, I was like, yes, this was right. This is good.
Yes, I agree. But also, I feel like I read something differently, or just maybe you have something different to say. Yeah, it was graphic. Let me go back to the graphic part. I was thinking of you, and I was like, did they put a smell?
Because that always gets me. Yes.
Well, yeah, like they did with
the,
Dulana, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So I'm thinking like this Megan, like, because I mean, if you get shot in the face, I don't know what that smells like, but if you were gonna go that graphic anyway, like,
oof,
put a smell to it.
Why not?
What a funny smell you've discovered. But anywho, let's see here. Shrike. Yeah, it wasn't a surprise to me because I think the episode before I said we will probably see him come back, right? The way he came back was a little bit like in a way we're like, oh, you're the one hunting him down, but like, how would you even know his face? Or like, there's no bounty put on him until I think.
Well, there was. He killed a hut.
Yeah, and I think it was all the identities that he had that led to this, because so that's how he caught him, right? And to see a pretty boy's face, it's got to be Han. But let me just say this. And I'm gonna lick it for the fans right now. So here we go. Like, this Shrike person was a prison for Han, right? And Han won't be able to do anything. He wouldn't be able to focus on his target, be with the loved ones he could be with, or wherever his life was gonna take him, or even set the main goal to, for Dulana, right? Everything for Dulana. Because I believe at the end of the day, everything he was doing was Dulana in mind, right? Yeah. He had to make it for her, so that her legacy will not be,
And I'm so glad they didn't forget about that it wasn't just an incident at the beginning of the book.
So to go back to it, this was the prison, and if you don't break out of your prison, right? If you're stuck for almost a year at your home, making Zoom videos, you will one day. Like yeah, no, but you make good of it. You get yourself out of your prison. Take whatever holds you back. So this is also a part of that. What that letter was. This is the thing that would have held him back had he not confront this, right? Yeah. And so you have to confront the things that you are uncomfortable with. Get comfortable with it, and man, you will see. You will see. The
sexy leader from the pulpit tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
It's what they say. Reap what you sow, right?
Get him. So, I mean, I'm very happy that, revenge for Dulana, because even though we didn't get too much of her in the beginning. Just like whenever she was referenced, I'm like, his
Yeah.
mom, that's his mom.
Totally.
You know, mom figure, whatever. And to me, I'm like, that's mom.
Absolutely.
And so the fact that like it felt like, I know violence isn't the answer, whatever, but this is a book. So for me, I was like, yes, revenge for your mom, because screw this guy. For those of you who watch Gravity Falls, you know that one weird guy. He's like, get him. That was me. I would do two fists, but I can't. But this guy, anytime there's a fight or anything going on, this weird ass guy in Gravity Falls would be like, get him. That's me.
Can't
Get
relate.
him, Han, get him. So it was satisfying, but at the same time, like throughout the book, we see Han is, you know, he may be cool and collected in A New Hope, but I like how human this book makes him,
Yeah.
because the emotions he feels, all of them, like he's a sensitive guy. He kind of strikes me as an empath, and so and so like to see him just lose it, absolutely lose it, I'm just like, wow. I'm not surprised, but at the same time I am, and I'm just like, you know, good for you, buddy. Let it out, because this guy is human garbage.
Yeah, I believe it. He's so closed off when we meet him in New Hope.
Yeah.
But it's like there has to be a reason that he decided to become that way.
Yeah.
And so to see him when he was so open about his emotions and so raw, and got burned and had to shut it down, you're like, I see, but inside, I know.
So I wonder if like oh no, sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
So I'm wondering if like this book is the starting points, like the bad that keeps happening, that these are the starting points that make him want to shut down. So I'm really curious what happens in the other two books, because I'm wondering if by the third book he's like just shut down at that point, you know?
Or did he become like, did he get through it all? And then, see, here's the thing, like, you have to know that he just keeps going and going, right? Through every like obstacle that Hans hit in this book. Like, I wish I could read the second book and the third book like right now, because like it's like, how much more do you have to go through before you actually get there? You know, like how much more pain, how much more like, you know, but this is why it goes back to me. You only have to read one book to understand it. It's like that pain is temporary. It's not going to last forever.
So want to spoil something for you. He gets, because now that you know how important this goal was to him, he gets to a point where he has to choose between the Empire and a promise he made to Dulana, and just the being torn, like, oh, that's Han. Like, it's the making of Han. And then something happens that really taints his opinion of the rebellion, this like new upcoming, you know, rebellion against the Empire kind of thing, that you kind of know why he's so like, whatever, stupid rebellion. Like, oh!
So hold on. I'm just gonna cut you off really quickly. Like, how do these Corellian girls do not see that they have a diamond in their hand?
No.
And then like you have to princesses know what a diamond is, and they only believe they should have a diamond, and that's why
she recognizes.
ended up with Leia.
Let's compare this Han to Most Wanted Han.
Yes.
Ooh, okay. So
I figure like with that question, Ronald might be able to keep his role going.
There you go, Ronald. With that direction, now what do you say?
So like I said, like, I mean, we understood the way Bria left him, you know, and throughout all the things in his life, it just seemed like it really is different from what we read in Most Wanted to this, because I said, like, there was no time in Most Wanted, and maybe I don't think Most Wanted is even a trilogy or even has a part 2 to it.
No, it was very much just a prequel
like a one
setup.
shot. Oh, okay, for the movie.
Yeah.
Okay, well, and then that's why it's like there's no, I mean, unless the movie had a part 2 for us to go by, then maybe we could think of something Disney. But like I said, this book, there's so many different, there's too many different points between what we know about new Solo and and this Solo from Legends. And I'm just gonna leave it with that. Like, I think this Legends Solo, to really understand who he's gonna become, right? This just gives the story I need. I didn't need to know what his parents were, because at the end of the day, he knew where he came from. It's not always, remember, people say family's not always blood.
If I have to compare book to book, I like kind of the structure of the White Worms better than the Trader's Luck gang.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it seemed a little bit, White Worm seems a little more Star Wars-y, a little bit more Disney, a little bit more Oliver Twist kind of gang, whereas the Trader's Luck gang is like harsh, man. That is some desolate, depressing, like really hard stuff. And it feels too, I saw this on the news about some third world country human trafficking kind of thing than Star Wars.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like White Worms better than this gang.
Mhm.
I like the slow build of his relationship to Kira that takes place over the course of the entire Most Wanted book. So where at the beginning he kind of knows who she is, what she's about, and then he gets to know her. She opens up a little bit, he opens up a little bit, and by the end he really appreciates her. And it's still kind of like, so is this a date or what? Like it was very paced and natural. Whereas in this, it's like love at first sight. He sees Bria, he's immediately obsessed with her. And I don't know why. It's just, it's that Corellian spark. It's that he saw a bit of home and saw somebody that he thought he could help and wanted to do something good for somebody that looked like they needed it, and he cared, and then she got attractive. I don't know what it was, but I didn't like it as much as I liked the slow burn of him and Kira.
Yeah.
That being said, I like his character a little better in this one, just because it's, I don't know, he grows in a more natural way, and the things that he has to do to grow seem more relatable and believable, whereas in Most Wanted and then in Solo, he's just kind of cocky and swanky and already the best pilot, and already really, he speaks Wookiee, we don't know why, and he's a good shot, and I don't know, all this stuff. Whereas we see him holding a blaster for the first time and being so scared he's shaking, and learning and studying how to fly, and thinking about why it's important to learn other languages, and maybe sometimes not let on that you know that language quite yet. And his first dealings with the Hutts, I don't know, it was just really interesting to see him from this novice point of view, getting more and more sure of himself, more and more confident, and more skilled, whereas he always came across that way in the new canon. That's just his personality. And he has a bit of swagger to him in this, but he's also really sensitive and really like open about his emotions, and he was different, so he has some place to grow. He has changes to go through, which is essential to a character arc. So they actually made him different in the beginning so that he could end up being the character that we know, instead of making him that character from the beginning. So those are my takes on the big differences in comparing the two. Yeah. I like the Wookiee mother angle. I think that's it explains so much.
Yeah. I think that's a good way the way that the way to explain like why he's so well with the Wookiees, why he does so well with them, that his mom was a Wookiee basically. Like I appreciate that. I like that for a backstory because they could have picked anything, but I like that it was that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think though?
Well, so okay, I really, really liked Most Wanted.
Yeah.
I was surprised by how much I really liked it. I mean, you know me, I like all the Star Wars books you read, but I was surprised by how much I liked that one. And it was just a really interesting way to see the backstory for him. And I have to agree, I think I like the White Worms angle better. And I like the slow burn with Kira. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Bria. And the romantic in me is like, oh my gosh, love at first sight. This is so sweet. This is so amazing. And you know, to be that young, to be in love and all that, I was like, I get it. But I do appreciate the emotional side to Han because, you know, like we've said, in A New Hope, he's just cool, collected, whatever. So I like that we get to see how emotional he is because people aren't just born, you know, born the way he acts in A New Hope. So I like that it kind of feels like this is the slow, steady build, decline, whatever you want to call it, to A New Hope Han in terms of like how much emotion he shows and everything. So I really do appreciate that we get to see that side of him. We get to see a breakdown of like events of what have really helped shape him. I kind of liked better in Most Wanted that we didn't get too much backstory on him. I like that it's a mystery. That's what's really fun to me. And you know, at first I was like, oh cool, we know some bit of him in this book, but then every time like I think about like the weird time with his cousin and everything, I was like, this is just so
Although I do like that
weird.
Solo is a notable family name on Corellia. That like it's a real thing. It's not just someone just made up a word and was like, that's your name now.
Yeah, so that part was good, but like the cousin just felt unnecessary and it felt like it was grasping at straws to try to give him some kind of emotional background. And I'm just like, they could have just left it at without the cousin. Like maybe while he's undercover at school, someone's like, oh, a Solo, are you related to these Solos? And you know, that could
tells him about how weird they are or something.
Yeah, and you know, we could have figured it out like that, I guess. I don't know.
If that had happened, would you believe that Han wouldn't try to go meet them?
I believe he would, but I wouldn't have been disappointed if I read Han try to find them and they just kind of turn him away because he doesn't have any proof. You know, I wouldn't mind reading something like that because the cousin thing was just too much. Not even just for Star Wars, but in general, that was just too much. He's already getting like beaten and degraded on this ship. Why do we need more of that from this weirdo cousin? Like it just felt like too much.
Yeah. And when we get into the next question, which I'm sure is the overall thoughts on the book, like that is if you know, if you don't mind me jumping into that, was that your thoughts on Most Wanted versus Paradise Snare? Stuff like that, the bit with the cousin, the constant beatings, this like uncomfortably intimate description of what the exaltation is like, and stuff like that. That's what always kind of stuck out to me when I remembered these books. I was like, they're just kind of weird and uncomfortably too real. And like I grew up believing this was Han Solo's backstory. This is his origin. This was canon to me for years and years and years. But I never reread this trilogy because I was just like, it's just not comfortable to read. It's a little weird. It's a little wacky. There's like this cult and I don't even know, like half of it's here and then half is on this planet and then they go to Coruscant. It's like really disjointed, but they get his character right. They get all the beats of his journey and all the things that make him who he is and that changes him bit by bit into what we know. He gets that right. Crispin gets that right. But then there are just these weird things that happen, and I'm like, but why did we need this? Like, I don't know. So that's always kind of been my sense memory of these books. They're just a little weird. Like, so when Ronald picked this to be in the lottery for book club, I was like, oh yeah, those Han Solo books.
I mean,
Kind of weird.
It's interesting to read, at least, even if it was super uncomfortable. Like, at the same even though, like, I do have my complaints, so I'm like, cringe.
It's not perfect.
I'm still glad we read it. I am glad.
There's a lot to appreciate about it.
Yeah, I love the emotional side, and I love Dulana. I love Bria. I love how do you Merg?
Merg, like, I do love the variety of settings and characters in this. I feel like a lot of the new canon stuff we've read have been very isolated to kind of a couple places and a lot of human characters. And this, it's like describing this jungle world and the different types of terrain and the habits and physiology of these different species that are sort of related to this other species that we know a little bit better, and kind of the relationship of the gangs between each other, and how even if they're cousins, they'll fight each other for control of the spice trail. It was, the world building was excellent. I love the Chagorians and the description of their culture and their planet. And even though it was just a little too real, a little too close to home, the culture of this gang that collects street kids and trains them to be money machines until they're not useful anymore. And I'm like, you know what? That's something that probably would exist in a huge galaxy. Like, somebody's going to be doing it. So that you've got this kind of thing going on, and then you've got this cult kind of thing going on, and then you get to Coruscant, and we get to see the upper levels and the lower levels and the Empire, and like, I don't know, we're all over the place meeting all kinds of characters, and everything felt lived in and believable and explained. And I felt like I was like, every different culture and the way they did things and why, and that there's this mold that grows, and that the Celestians are a little bit allergic to it if they're around spice too much. Like, I was like, yeah, I believe that. Of course, that's how it would happen. Like, that it took the time to go, like, to build all this into the world, made me feel like everything has a action and reaction, has a action and a consequence. Like, that it feels real, that there's this class structure on Coruscant, that there's the seedy underbelly of Alderaan isn't all that seedy. That, I don't know, like, all these different things that we discover, I'm like, yeah, that's a big galaxy, and there would be something like that. I believe it. And it feels real, and it feels natural. So I really liked the world building from that perspective on things, aside from the story.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Like, I think I took this book, or I don't know why, but when I first picked this book, it was because I judged by the cover.
You did.
Right? I said it was a great cover. Let's read this one, right? What I did not know what it was going to do for me. And I mean, I'm not saying like all the other books that we read so far, like, man, there has been like some type of life story, something. But you know, when this one, I don't know what it was about this particular one. So like I said, I'm about to link it for everybody who's listening who wants to, you know, watch this one, you know, next Friday. Like, oh, because we film prior to Friday. So
giving away all our secrets.
Gotta explain that. Yeah.
Show secrets.
But let me just start off with this. Like, I'm just gonna say what it did for me, like, reading this book. Right? What's our main question? Like, how do we feel about this book?
Yeah. Overall thoughts.
I'd like to say what this book did for me, and I'm hopefully it helps somebody, out there who actually watches this. So, because that was my main goal of doing all of this with you guys for a year now. Like, was like, what can I give out to the world? Like, and hopefully, just I give one type of one, I don't know, inspiration out there that you can, take with you in your life. But this is nothing, this is nothing directed to one person. This is just like, this is
Yeah.
just
Whoever
me,
needs
all
it.
right?
Yeah.
So when you guys talk about like, uh, you know, the uncomfortableness of like, of like this particular book.
Mhm.
Now, don't get me wrong. When I read some stuff from the other books, like there was uncomfortableness in what
Yes.
I was reading,
Yeah.
even with like struggle to read a book. Like I was struggling with that. So here's the thing, everybody. Like you got to really look at what makes you comfortable, and you got to face your fears.
Yeah.
Like point then and doubt. Like if you feel uncomfortable with something, it's time to like, like I'm not saying like we're adult, because I don't think I am like that. I still love Star Wars. Like you have to face your fears. It's just part of life. So my question to everybody is like, and I'm not this is not related to what your answers guys was. It's like, for me, everything Han did in this book was face his fears and never back down.
Yeah,
And
taking a risk.
every other book that we've read, Star Wars, has been almost like that,
Yeah.
even if it was on the Empire side. I don't know if we have read, if we reread, the Bounty Hunter one in the future and what that would be like. But I'm glad what these books, have done for me up to this point is show me that, like, tell me things that I've already known. It's like to never like, it's never take no for an answer. Because here's the thing: if you're gonna let life run you, life's gonna run you.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: I always ask myself every day, like, do I like when I live my life, am I living my life to the fullest? No, I have not. I'm far from that still, right? These books just show me a way that, like, man, if my villain slash hero, like, can get through it, I can get through it, man. And it's like, that's the best thing about Star Wars, right? Is like, it's for everybody. But if you're just looking at it the way I look at it, it's like, man, like, life's always going to be challenging. Life's always going to be hard.
Mm.
Like, so here, this is what I got from this book. Life is going to be a dogfight. You're going to
Uh-huh.
lose people. You're going to lose friends. You're going to lose family. Like, man. And, nothing's ever set to stone. So that's why, I mean, I've been preaching this, I don't know, for how long now. It's like, dude, you got to live every day like it was your last.
Mhm.
If you're just sitting around and not doing anything and like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, because I did that for the longest time. And I'm glad we did this together with you two. Like, I'm glad we all three did this because, man, it's like this like got me out of that funk. I was in a funk before we did this. Man, I was like, well, are we going to sit around in a year and then still be at the same place? I am for sure in the fact all three of us are in a different place than where we were 1 year ago.
You may have all noticed Ronald's very fired up tonight, and we're talking a lot about behind the scenes stuff and even a little bit in the past tense, referring to this squadcast, because things are going to be changing up a little bit. So we are not going to announce the next book right away because we might be doing things a little differently from now on. So we're going to discuss that amongst ourselves, maybe make an announcement later, and maybe try something new. So stick around, keep an eye on everything for that. Otherwise, you know where to find us on all the social medias for all the different kinds of content. And thank you for reading the first of the Han Solo trilogy book with us. Look forward to what we're doing next. But for now, I think it's time for the Sexy Wookiees to sign out. for
With
Dulana.
one-armed.
With one arm, Jasmine, you can do it.
Oh.
I'm sorry,
Yo,
Dulana.
call somebody from.
Oh,
Call somebody.
one
to-
arm.
to- I'm just kidding.
Get someone else's other arm in there.
Man.
You're fine. You're fine. We'll
Just say Yahoo.
half measure this time.
Just say
Yahoo!
Yahoo.
All right, sexy
Feel
cookies.
Yahoo!